two young men in New York, arguing about who's harder, who's smarter, who's the best at turning a phrase and dodging rent collectors. Now imagine the argument lasts 20 years, then graduates to boardrooms. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not a rap feud. It's the origin story of two business empires. These aren't the sort of rivalries you settle with a verse. They are the kind you settle with ownership, with brands, with stakes in companies that make accountants salivate. Today we'll stop arguing about bars and start studying balance sheets. Because in this arena, the winners aren't the loudest. They're the ones who read the market, buy the dip and turn volatility into velocity. This is where influence becomes equity, and where every decision either compounds or consumes you. Jay-Z and Nas started in the same theater, the street, the booth, the city that teaches you how to hustle or how to fold, but they took different exit ramps. Jay built a machine, Roc Nation, full-service entertainment empire that swallowed labels, management, sports, events and more. Nas kept the cultural capital tight, then used it as currency in media ventures, early tech bets, and VC moves that read like a lesson plan for turning credibility into cash. Roc Nation was founded in 2008 and became the scaffold for Jay's many moves. But here's the real lesson for any CEO paying attention: both men mastered the same equation, they just solved it with different variables. Jay scaled horizontally, constructing infrastructure that prints value across every touchpoint. Nas played the long game vertically, stacking asymmetric bets that matured into quiet windfalls. And in business, that's the only rivalry that matters. Vision versus velocity, played out in real time. Here's the bit you'll want tattooed on your brain. Duel to dynasty. It's 4 simple steps that any artist, founder, or smartass entrepreneur can copy. 1. Narrative ownership, control the story. 2. Asset diversification, stop relying on one income line. 3. Institutional partnerships, get large players on side. 4. Cultural infrastructure, turn fans into ecosystems. I'll explain each step, then show you how the two applied them, and how you can steal the playbook. First rule: if you don't own your story, someone will rent it out and charge you admittance. Jay didn't just release music, he positioned himself as an institution. Roc Nation is a pasar funnel, talent agency, and brand factory rolled into one. Nas kept his narrative authentic and later amplified it through mass appeal and media ventures that reinforced credibility rather than diluted it. When you own the story, you influence the market's perception, which, oddly, becomes market value. Real-world mini-example. Jay uses album cycles to launch businesses. Nas uses cultural authority to underwrite investments. Both control the narrative, one with spectacle, the other with earned legitimacy. Secondly, don't be a one-trick pony. Being famous is not a business, it's an asset that must be deployed. Jay invested in luxury alcohol almond to Brickneck, sports, streaming and fintech adjuncts. He sold major stakes and made headline-sized moves, which converted cultural cash into institutional money. Nas invested early in Coinbase and launched QueensBridge-style venture initiatives, turning small stakes into windfalls, diversifying with purpose. A real-world mini-example: an equity stake in a breakout tech firm can multiply faster than tour revenue. Nas' early crypto bets proved that credibility plus timing makes for very neat returns. Jay's champagne sale and streaming exit are textbook examples of turning brand into asset value. Thirdly, don't try to eat the world alone. If you want real muscle, scale that actually moves markets, partner with institutions. Jay understood this early. He didn't cling to ownership like a hobbyist guarding a toy. He partnered stakes with big luxury houses and digital platforms that expanded his reach without ever diminishing his stature. No small vendor energy. Tick 2021 Tidal's majority stake goes to Square. Suddenly the platform has distribution, data infrastructure, and financial oxygen, and Jay walks away with a board seat. That's not dilution, that's elevation. Because partnerships buy you the 3 things entrepreneurs can't manufacture alone: distribution, legitimacy and leverage. That's how you scale without crawling. Fourthly, build the things that keep culture humming, not the shiny side projects. I mean infrastructure, festivals, media houses, restaurants, schools. These aren't vanity pieces, they're cultural modes. They take something as fleeting as fandom and turn it into recurring revenue, recurring community, and recurring power. Jay's festivals and artist services don't just entertain, they create pipelines, platforms where talent, technology, and capital meet. Nas does the same with media ventures and local economic plays that root him inside both culture and commerce. Build a festival, and you control an entire season of content. Build a media company, and you decide which stories get amplified next year. That's cultural engineering. Okay, the theory is fine, but let's be blunt. How did it actually play? Jay's path was brand first, then institutionalize. He mastered spectacle. He understood that cultural heat is a currency, and he spent it wisely. Luxury collaborations weren't just flexes. They were cover letters to corporate boardrooms. Vision first, infrastructure next, liquidity when it counts. Nas took a different route to credibility first, then monetized selectively. He treated cultural respect as seed capital, a kind of trust fund powered by authenticity. Then he placed early bets in media, technology and local economic projects, long before they became fashionable. Two strategies, two philosophies, both correct, both profitable, and together they rewired the entire relationship between hip-hop and capital, proving that culture isn't a guest in the economic arena, it's a shareholder. If you want to steal this playbook, start controlling your narrative today. Diversify two meaningful revenue streams. Find at least one institutional partner that compels trust, and build one cultural mode that keeps audiences coming back. Rinse and repeat. Don't get sentimental about the parts that do not scale. 2 quick practical steps. 1. Own one channel, a podcast, a newsletter, a branded series and treat it like equity. 2. Make one strategic partnership, whether a music platform, a local brand, or a VC, that amplifies distribution. So, who won? The courts of public opinion will forever squabble over verses. The boardroom, however, keeps a ledger, and the ledger doesn't lie. Jay and Nas teach the same lesson from different seats. Turn culture into capital, but do it smartly. That's the dual dynasty framework. And if you remember nothing else, remember this. Talent gets you to the table. Strategy makes you stay.